Are you conscious? You're probably going to say, duh. And to be honest, you're probably right. You think, you are emotional, and you can reason. But what about your family? What about your friends? Are they conscious? Sure, they walk like you, talk like you, but do they have the same mind that you may have? That's what we're talking about, consciousness. We want to look at what is consciousness, and is it possible that we're the only ones? Sit back, it's time to put your mind on the matter of consciousness. So before we get into the wacky thought experiments, let's talk about what we mean by consciousness. Now, this is a very contested topic as it underpins the fundamental issues of what the mind is. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to assume Thomas Nagel's famous account. He says that consciousness is all of the mental that you have, which describes what it is like to be you. And he compares it to a bat. So it is impossible, he says, that you can experience what it is to be like a bat, because there is something within the bat which makes it purely unique to them. So there are two issues with explaining consciousness. Firstly, the soft problem of consciousness. This states that we can struggle to explain the psychological concepts. These are those concepts that relate to the processes of the brain. But these are explained quite easily in terms of neuroscience and all the biology around the brain. The hard problem of consciousness is, well, harder. This states that we struggle to explain the phenomenal concepts of consciousness. These concepts are those that describe the experiential feel of consciousness. So when I feel pain, not just that there's some stimulation of a neuron, it's also the pain feeling. That's what we're really looking at here. And this is where the contention starts. So let's get into the meat of this video. Let's look at the intuitive idea of how the mind works. There is a mind, and it's connected in the brain in some way that the mind is able to cause the body to move and experience emotions. This is a form of philosophical behaviorism, as it states that our mental states and everything about the brain can be described by our behaviors, since these are public things that we can actually talk about. This seems to be kind of strong, since it's obviously quite intuitive. However, if we look at a particular thought experiment, we see some of the flaws in this. Consider philosophical zombies. Now, let's say your family, your friends, everyone you know are these philosophical zombies. So they are human duplicates, but whilst they're physically and functionally identical to humans, they lack consciousness. Suddenly, you've got all these people that seem to be conscious. They have the same behaviors as you, they talk and walk like you, but suddenly they don't have consciousness. Suddenly it's not so outlandish to say that you may be the only conscious person. But maybe this just shows that our theory of the mind is wrong. Let's consider a more extreme theory, eliminative materialism. They suppose that through neurological advancements in the distant future, we come to realize that there is no mental at all, and that all talk about mental states is just talk of some folk psychology. This would then mean that there's no such thing as consciousness. So not only are you the only conscious person, no one is. Whilst this is counterintuitive, it seems to answer our issue, since it allows for no consciousness whatsoever. Strict, but simplistic. But think about what this means. That means your experiences of love, pain, joy, they're all fake. They're just illusions. That means you don't love your mother. On top of this, eliminative materialism states that beliefs don't exist, since they're obviously mental states. But eliminative materialism is a belief in itself. So suddenly we come to realize, if eliminative materialism is true, it contradicts itself. It's not true. So there are so many issues, it's so counterintuitive, that really we should just reject it immediately. So I'm going to go back to our assumption that the mind is connected to the brain in some way. There is a mind. Which then comes back to this issue of, could we be the only conscious person? Now this lends to the idea of solipsism, the view that everything is doubted except for our own existence. Now this is famously brought up by Descartes through his 3 ways of doubt. Now he's skeptical about everything, since an evil demon could cause him to believe that a thing exists when it actually doesn't. He thinks everything could be some level of deception. However, the fact that he is doubting shows that he is thinking, and through his famous quote, "Cogito ergo sum," I think therefore I am, he has proven that he has to exist in order to be doubting. So whilst this applies to you, it may not apply to others. Just because you are thinking, you can't prove that someone else is thinking. That could just be a demon trying to deceive you. So the only thing you can be certain of is your own existence. So what this goes to show is that solipsism is a very real possibility. Now you could argue that a person without a brain, without a mind, is inconceivable. Surely it's innate in our concept for us to have a mind. But let me put it to you this way. Do you dream? I'm going to assume you just said yes. Now, in that dream, I'm sure you've dreamt about a person. I'm assuming that you have. This person surely cannot have a mind. After all, they're in your brain. They're not a real thing. So, what I've just done there is I've conceived of a person that lacks a mind, because I'm conceiving of this person that's inside your brain. And that's really wacky. But what that goes to show is that there is no contradiction in conception of a person without a mind. So we can't disprove solipsism, but is it the best hypothesis? Surely a better hypothesis is just to state that everyone has minds, the same that I do, so that I can explain their behaviours. For example, say we're playing a chess match, me and you. For me to then say you don't have a mind makes it a lot harder to explain why you're spending 10 minutes trying to think about your next move. Surely it just makes sense that you are actually thinking about that move. Similarly, we may say that consciousness is just a byproduct of evolution. Consider the polar bear. It has a big, thick coat of fur, which is there to keep them warm because of the environment they live in. But a byproduct of that is that they have to be quite strong because of how heavy that coat is. Similarly, consciousness may just be a byproduct of our evolution as human beings. And let's be frank here, realistically, who cares? As cool as it is to talk about this and discuss these minute differences in ideas of what the mind is, how does it affect the real world? For you to remain in society, you have to accept that people must have minds and we should treat them as such. Consider the famous example that Hume provides of a man known as Pyro. He has this irrational fear of animals to the point that he ended up running off a cliff just to avoid one. Now, he could have avoided that by accepting that whilst he has this fear, he still has to be around animals at some point in his life. So similarly, whilst we can talk about this and have a lot of fun in this conversation, there must be a point where we abandon it and say that we still want to stay in society alive, so we are accepting that others have minds. My thoughts? I think that you're conscious, I'm conscious, everyone's conscious. I think it's the best hypothesis to state that everybody has a mind. To say otherwise when someone's sitting there before making their chess move, without using the ideas of thought or mind, it's just incoherent. I think that this is why philosophy is so fun, because we can never truly know. No matter how advanced we get in the future, there will be some things that we just can't know the answer to, and this is where philosophy then comes into play. I hope this has intrigued you as much as it's intrigued me. Please, if you have any thoughts or any opinions on this, please share them in the comments. But in the meantime, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep putting your mind on the matter.